Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the AVGL Collegiate League of Legends Championships. I'm Coco the Dragon, and with me today is Starkey. Starkey, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Coco?
I'm doing fantastic. A wonderful Friday we have going for us. And on our plate for tonight, we have a tiebreakers for the Bloodthirster division between, I believe it is going to be, remind me once more, it is Indiana Tech versus Columbia College Silver, and it's the orange team for Indiana Tech tonight.
Yeah, and it's also and like you said, the silver team for Columbia College. Columbia College is going to be starting on the blue side tonight with Indiana Tech taking that early red side.
And with that, we've seen these teams previously where they went off against each other, speaking of which, dominating in their division and only tying 1-for-1 with themselves between each other. So already a pretty head-to-head matchup we're going to be having on our hands.
Yeah, I'm actually really interested to see how this turned out because the game that Columbia College won in their best of two series, Columbia College actually played extremely well, but in the game that Indiana Tech won, Indiana Tech actually had a very strong lead that game too. So like it felt like these teams were very even matched, even during the series when they met prior to this tiebreaker.
And with that, we are into the picks and bans now, actually pretty thoroughly through. These teams want to get right into it, as you say, settle some scores as it might be. And with the new patch as well, we might be seeing some things differently. To give you guys a quick rundown, the champions that have been banned away are Sivir, Fiora, Jace, and Caitlyn on the side of Columbia College. And on Indiana Tech side, it's going to be Xerath, Draven, Sejuani, Alistair, and Echo banned away. You can see also what's been picked up. Tell me, Starkey, how are you liking these compositions running down at the moment?
So I actually really like the so far what Columbia College has with the Janna and Xayah. Xayah will always be so strong. She's so mobile in her ability to get out of bad situations with her ultimate. And that's so huge, combined with Janna, who's actually really strong off of the 719 patch that just came out a couple days ago. She was so strong that they actually had to hotfix her day of. So Janna is in a really good spot right now.
And I believe they actually did hotfix her again. It was the second time they did actually yesterday, and I believe it was for shield, just base shield damage or sort of cover. It dropped it down to, I believe, 210 max at rank 5 from 250. So pretty considerable later on in the later stages of the game, as she definitely does rush that shield and max that out first with that pickup. And then, as you said, Xayah, very safe. Camille, Gnar, Vel'Koz, and Syndra have been the most recent pickups as well. The Vel'Koz, that's definitely a pocket pick for Charmer. We saw previously in their matchup last time.
Yeah, I actually really Vel'Koz is probably my favorite character in all of League of Legends. I fully maintain that he is one of the most balanced champions for the sole reason that he does a lot of damage, but his weaknesses are very well defined, right? He's not mobile. He has to stay in place to use his very high damage ult, but if you can line them up or group them up, like we so far see from Columbia College's pick and ban so far, Vel'Koz is so strong, and I really like him in the mid lane, especially against the Syndra, because he can play so far back and farm so safely with his Ws and his Qs that Syndra, while she can put some harass down, she has to put herself in a very risky position to have burst returned or get ganked from Panzer coming out. I believe he's going to be playing that J4 in the jungle.
And with that as well, you have the geometry on Vel'Koz's Q that can sort of harass behind the lines too, sort of get that ganking damage. And also with Syndra as well, can sort of cause that ramp up potential of getting to level 6, getting to the point where she can unleash power and burst someone down. But as you said, has to get into a sort of dangerous spot as it may be in some situations against Vel'Koz being that long range mage. With that now, both of the compositions being finalized, Twitch and Karma going up against Xayah and Janna. Haven't seen Karma that much lately, mostly due to Janna being very powerful. I would have sort of liked a Lulu pickup, though, for Mysterious. I feel that would have complemented White Shadow a bit more on Twitch and could have been a little bit more safe against that dive of Gnar and Jarvan on the side of Columbia College.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. The reason I'm not really questioning the Karma pick here too heavily is because of the Ardent Sensor changes that came out in 719, where the person who has the Ardent Sensor also gains the bonuses that the person they have it linked to as well. So whenever Karma gets those auto attacks off that we like to see her do when she gets those Q roots down, or when she gets a slow with her gets a W roots down and gets the slow with her Qs, she's able to just poke them down. And with the Ardent Sensor, I actually am curious to see how that item's changes are going to affect the rest of this game and kind of how this lane shifts, especially because we see supports rushing that Ardent Censer so early on.
Yeah, and with that also there is that sort of, I'd say, underclass meta strategy of the AD carry actually going for that relic shield first instead of going for like a Doran shield. Do you think one of those AD carries might be picking that up to help rush, like say, Interpros Janna into that Ardent Censer, or Karma for as well for White Shadow and Mysterious?
I think it's tricky because Andrew does, or Xayah and Andrew playing that Xayah is going probably to want that Doran's Blade as well as Twitch, because both of these need to scale up and be able to trade well enough with one another, especially because Janna does have that engage disengage with her Q at level 1, as well as the changes to Zephyr, which actually increase, I think, the slow amount that it does right away. So there's a lot of pressure that Xayah can put down into this lane. But at the same time, Karma has those shields that she can put onto Twitch to speed him in and out of the fight. And I think these two teams are going to want to be very bloody, because that's also what we saw in the last series. And like you said, there might be some scores to settle. So maybe they go for that more aggressive bloodlust build more so, rather than the what'll help our team kind of scale a little bit smoother through the game.
And with the bans that you can see that all of those champions that were pretty much taken off the board were very in your face, maybe outside of the Xerath, who much more likes to throw from the back lines. But nonetheless, they're all very aggressive sort of champions that they banned away. And nonetheless, looking into the top lane now, you have Gnar going against Camille here with Platypus and Supermodel respectively. How do you think that matchup is going to go? Because for me, it's much more of a skill matchup, even though Gnar does get that early game aggression with the mini Gnar form and the boomerang.
Yeah, I feel like Camille actually is a little bit more, I want to say Camille is a little bit more favored in this lane. Both have really good escapes. Like you said, it is going to be much more of a skill matchup, but I like the scaling of Camille more with the composition that Indiana Tech has right now. Because Camille does go that really nice like tank and damage dealer, where Gnar does have to invest a little bit more heavily into that damage to try to turn that out a little bit better. So I feel like I like the Camille pick more than the Gnar pick in terms of the overall game. But in lane, like you said, it's definitely much more of a skill matchup.
Yeah, and investing into the Gnar, you could possibly do that split pushing potential. Camille does have that as well. Speaking of damage, Jarvan on Panzer in the jungle. How do you think that's going to be contesting up against Gragas? Because both of them, they have pretty potent early game ganks, definitely into like these solo lanes that can help sort of set up the possibility of doing that. Mostly for the side of, I'd have to say, Indiana Tech with the Syndra as well, with the Scatter of the Weak to do the stunning. Vel'Koz, it might be a little bit more difficult. But on the bottom side of the map, they're both kind of safe with Janna and Karma helping peel.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of who has the vision up and are they able to get close enough to really do those combos and really get the ganks off. I mean, we see Gragas is very, very strong with his body slam into the cask. It's such strong gank potential. He gets a knockup, he gets a slow, and then he does a lot of damage off of his W, right? But the same can be said for Jarvan. Flag and drag into his passive hit, into a slow with a shield off of his W. And so I think a lot of this is going to rely on these teams being able to put out the vision to really protect their lanes. Like it is in almost every game, vision is going to be the most key thing to really keep them safe from this Jarvan and from this Gragas for both Columbia and Indiana Tech.
So loading into the game here now. Once again, this is a tiebreaker between Columbia College and Indiana Tech. So whoever wins this one is going to be getting first place in their division. I believe it's only one game, for this one. So it's pretty much all in for these teams in their own rights, and getting the best composition is pretty much one of the key factors to winning these games. What do you think are the win conditions for both of these teams? For, let's say, like, let's focus on Columbia College right now. How does Columbia College pretty much pick up this game and take this one for a victory?
I'm really looking for Columbia College to be able to use this J4 and this Gnar to be able to set up what I would say are your late game ideal combos, right? You get a knock into a wall or a J4 Cataclysm to be able to set up Charmer with a very, very good Death Laser and basically shred the entire team, because there are good squishies for Vel'Koz to really delete here, right? White Shadow on that Twitch and Sanctus on that Syndra is very, very strong in terms of being able to just tear them down in the middle of fights. And the bad news is that Syndra can probably get her combo out before she dies, but Twitch, he's always going to be able to shoot out those auto attacks once he gets going with that Runins, as well as using like a static shiv, or if he chooses to take the revolver. It's really going to be interesting to see how Columbia College tries to get these combos set up with that Gnar and that J4.
Definitely. And now with the game in motion, it's just about going to be 2 minutes past here for us. So the jungles just have finished their first buffer. So we'll have to pay attention to the jungle clear early on for these two members of Panzer and Winter here on Indiana Tech and Columbia, because if you get that early clear and are able to possibly get a gank into a lane that is possibly pushing out, getting an advantage gives you that opening to look for an early first blood. That could provide so much momentum for both of these teams, because really I see so much ramping potential from every single lane on both teams as well. Like, you don't want to really fed Camille, you don't want to fed Syndra, and on the same side, you don't want to deal with a fed Gnar or Xayah. It's just so much hurt coming out, as well as just that utter beef, as you said, with Supermodel and Panzer just wrecking in that front line of Columbia College.
Yeah, I'm really looking for Columbia College to put a lot of pressure on when the mid game rolls around.
Yeah.
Just because when Vel'Koz gets that 2-item spike, that's when he becomes really, really scary. And that's when Xayah can start to do a lot of damage. And depending on what route Panzer chooses to go with his jungle item, Columbia College could very well have a lot of damage coming out. But at the same time, Camille starts to scale up around that mid game. Twitch, depending on if he gets just even a little bit ahead in this lane, he can become a nightmare around the mid game as well. And Syndra, that 2-item spike as well. So it's going to be a really bloody mid game. And I think a lot of it is going to be dictated on whether or not they get those ganks down right now and early on.
Yeah, because mid-game is one of the most important deciding factors here in this current meta for League of Legends, because you can get those early plays, you can get early first blood, get some objective control around the map, but when there's those tier 1 turrets are gone and there's no dragon on the map, it's really hard for teams to sort of find momentum and delay the scaling of the losing team on that current side to help ramp up and make it even again. So if you have a convincing, dominating mid-game, you can pretty much spell an early victory. But Perpetual Winter and Platypus going in under Supermodel right now, doing a lot of damage, forcing the flash here, going under turret. Is Winter going to get it? He doesn't get the auto lock. It got canceled away as Winter taking a turret shot on his back. His Supermodel survives with just the skin of his teeth.
So that's actually a really, that's a huge escape for Supermodel, but that's a huge benefit to Columbia College in terms of their early vision control and early knowledge of where, of what Indiana Tech is trying to do. Knowing that Perpetual Winter is there in the top lane, J4 is actually now going to be able to rotate and choose to take away this blue buff. And that's a pretty big takeaway from Perpetual Winter this early on into the game. And so I think that actually is, not only was it unfortunate that they missed the gank, but that's a really big pickup for Columbia College.
Yeah, as you said, the punishment coming in from Panzer going to be taking the blue buff, away from Perpetual Winter's Gragas, who definitely does need it for that clear with the Explosive Cask as well as the Drunken Rage to help clear those jungles. And here on the map, we do have Cloud Drake going to be the first one on the map. Don't feel like there's going to be that much attention to him already. But even though that loss was very unfortunate for the side of Indiana Tech, the CS has also sort of closed down. It used to be 16-30 in that top lane in favor of Platypus, but now it is back to being dead even. You have 2 Dorn's Blades on the side of Supermodel with a Dorn Shield and a Longsword, as well as boots for Platypus as well. So a little bit more scrappy, sort of having recipes for more items. But with 2 Dorn's Blade, it gives so much defense and offense in this early game for Supermodel's Gnar to help win that laning phase of this game.
Yeah, and that's something that I actually learned from watching one of Double Lift's streams is running a double Doran's. Even when you're even slightly ahead or even slightly behind, it can be a huge game changer in terms of being able to come back or even snowball your lane really heavily just because of the stats that it offers. And right now, I actually feel like he does kind of have that small advantage over Platypus by having that double Doran's.
Oh, flash coming in from Charmer, though, in the mid lane, trying to see if he could pick off Sanctus, but not going to be able to, as Sanctus was able to flash away in kind. Panzer roaming around here in the top side, as well as Winter. Winter possibly going for a second gank here. Platypus locks the hook shot. No flash this time. There's the ultimate from Platypus. Supermodel trying to get away. There's the flash, and there's the secure. No auto attack canceling this time. As Sanctus actually in the mid lane gets obliterated. Zapped down by Charmer. 2 kills on the game already, 1 for each team, keeping the score dead even. Head-to-head combat here for this tiebreaker.
Man, that was huge. That was a really, really good gank by Perpetual Winter. He actually flashed downwards onto him. He was going at a 90-degree angle towards him and then had a really, really good flash and ran into Supermodel as he was trying to dodge. Very, very good prediction by Perpetual Winter and very strong mechanical play. And then in that mid lane, that was such a huge pickup for Vel'Koz over this Syndra to be able to have that extra kill, just because that's a lane that you really want to start to get going. And he got a lot from it, only having to burn his flash and his cleanse. It was a really smart play. Sanctus wasn't even able to pull off his ultimate to try to get any burst back down onto Charmer.
Yeah, it was a splendid job there by Charmer. I believe he got the cleanse to negate the Scatter of the Weak and was able to turn back, get that combo perfectly, and just burst down Sanctus's Syndra. And I was talking earlier on about how Syndra at level 6 can be so deadly with that Unleashed Power ultimate and can burst down squishy targets, but the same goes for Vel'Koz, who in turn, cleanse, great summoner choice, was able to take out that crowd control and burst down the mid laner, making it again 1-1 here on the board. So going into the next few minutes here into this game, you have a lead in favor for Winter, who was able to pick up that kill. It's nice, but I feel like if Camille was able to get it, it would have been so much better. The scaling for Gragas will help sort of make sure that he doesn't really have that bad of a punishment when he did lose his blue buff early on. But now the solo lanes is where I'm looking at 4 more ganks to come around, because as we said, the safe lanes of the bottom side are just going to continually ramp up.
Yep. And I think the interesting thing is that we see an 11 CS difference, but that actually really amounts to about 500 gold at this point in the game in favor of Platypus on that Camille. And that's kind of that small lead that we were talking about in that pick and ban and loading into the game of like which team is able to get the small leads and are they able to speed that or use that to speed them up into the mid game and really get that pressure down and start to win, because that's kind of where both of these comps start to scale up.
Yeah, great attention on the minimap. You can see another gank coming in from Winter. Sanctus actually taking a load of damage. He will die. Flash Panzer not going to be able to pick that one up for himself, being a little bit greedy. But Winter, as I mentioned, still keeping his sights onto this top lane, trying to get Platypus ahead. But sadly, Charmer is taking control of this mid lane pretty much by himself. No guidance or assistance whatsoever from his jungler, and this will be the first brick here as well for the side of Columbia College. Great gold spike here for the blue side, as it's 15,000 to 13.
Yeah, that's really big, and this is actually, that was almost really tricky coming out from Indiana Tech there, getting that bot lane rotate. I think that falls back into the, do you have the vision to protect your solo lanes from these kind of weird ganks and from these mid-game ganks to get them going. To kind of move away from that and touch back on what you said about talking about this focus that Perpetual Winter has on the top lane with Platypus, I think it's not unwarranted, but it looks like Sanctus is struggling so much more in this mid lane, just in a 1v1, like remove the ganks, just in a 1v1, Sanctus looks a little bit outclassed against Charmer's Vel'Koz, and that's just, that falls back into that long range mage, as well as making Syndra trying to be a little bit more forward than Vel'Koz and trying to get CS and try to do damage. And so I think maybe after your first 1 or 2 ganks didn't really work in the top lane and you start to see that your mid laner is just dying by himself, I think you should really put some more focus on that and just kind of let the Camille scale naturally through this game rather than trying to force it. And
Panzer taking dealing some damage onto Winter, going to force the body slam away safely there. Going to be dropping down to about a quarter health, but as you mentioned too earlier on, and I believe the champion select, Syndra has to get into this dangerous position to actually start harassing Charmer's Vel'Koz, where I believe it actually is the same range for his E, for his displacement, so he can set up his combo perfectly if he's able to read the aggression from the side of Sanctus. So for me, I think I agree with you on this one, Strucky, where Winter does need to pay some attention to this mid lane, because it's just that extra crowd control that Charmer will not be able to cleanse with his summoner spell to really just completely burst down the squishy Vel'Koz, and then get some more leads. Convert the leads from the top somewhere else, or in any sense of way. Cloud Drake going down for the side of Columbia College will help them roam around a little bit more, and again, Platypus, even though he's been getting that help, he's about 20 CS up. He's still not doing too well against Supermodel.
And that's really the questionable thing, right? Like, Gnar is going to be tanky no matter whether or not you force him to lose his lane. Yep. Unlike Camille, like, if Camille gets going, she's really, really painful, but she's also in kind of the same boat as Gnar, where she will eventually scale up. She may not have the damage that you want coming out of her, but she will be a tank. She'll be able to use her hooks to get into teams and do knockouts. But the same can't be said for this mid lane, right? Like, Syndra, she can do some damage, but it's not the same amount. But if Vel'Koz gets behind, that is awful for them. And so I think I probably would have paid more attention to this mid lane, even after burning that flash in the top lane after that first gank. It just makes more sense to put focus onto this mid lane because Vel'Koz can fall behind easily and very quickly.
Yeah, and White Shadow taking some harass from Andrew here, denying him a recall, is not going to be able to go back. He has 1,000 gold in his pocket, so he could pick up. He couldn't fully pick up anything like a rapid fire cannon, but could definitely go for at least the, I believe it's the Kersey's dagger or something like that, or a Kersey's shard. Nonetheless, Andrew's still going to try and apply pressure. We can see here on the minimap more pings coming out. Also, Columbia College has been doing a great job tracking where Perpetual Winter has been for the past couple of minutes. He's been constantly pinging him in his own jungle, and that's a great sign for Columbia College to help keep the oppression on these side lanes and in the mid lane as well.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about. Like, control that vision, and you control these two junglers. When Perpetual Winter is, like, when his location is known, all of the surprise that Gragas has with a, oh, hang on, here's trading.
White Shadow doing some more trading back and forth, but nothing going to come out of this one. Don't want to get too dangerous. It's just very low health on that turret. It's at about almost a quarter health. And White Shadow wants to back, or at least try and hold as much as possible, still try and ramp up. Both of the ADCs are low on mana at the moment, seeing if they can get an ambush, but nonetheless, going to be Supermodel going in with the Mega Nod. There's Platypus actually dodging the crowd control from Charmer. Supermodel taking a lot of damage here from Winter and Platypus. Nice hook shot, not going to land, but Panzer trying to see if he can disengage for his teammate. Supermodel going to be going down to Platypus. CC Charmer is going to get obliterated in the backside. As now 2-4-0 trade in that top lane. A good turnout for the side of Indiana Tech.
Well, and that's exactly what we talked about, right? Like, Sanctus did such a good job of zoning Vel'Koz out of that entire fight. He was stuck in that top lane tri-bush for almost the entire fight until he had to get into an extremely risky position where Sanctus could just basically delete him with his ultimate and using the other orbs. And it was just so strong.
Yeah, unfortunately on this bottom side, Andrew is able to pick up a turret and sort of rebuttal that loss in the top side. Rift Herald actually going to be get smited over by Panzer. Good job there, buddy. You know, smite steals are always a great thing to practice. Might as well practice on the Rift Herald. Baron's coming up in the next 5 minutes, so you're already warmed up for that potential upset.
That's actually a really painful misplay coming out of Perpetual Winter. He had his smite available for that, and they could clearly see that Panzer was hanging around on the edge. He didn't flag and drag into it. It wasn't like a surprise, right? Like, he saw it coming and he still missed it, and that's gotta be a little bit demoralizing.
Yeah, just a slight bit, because like you've been trying so hard to just help get your team back into the game. You have actually pretty much tried to in this top side and the mid side. And you're still about 2,000 gold down, and then you have Rift Herald stolen away from you, and 2 turrets to 0. So it's just it's so upsetting. It's Rift Herald too, because they could have just helped him convert their lead even more. Could have gotten that turret in the top side or the mid side, pushed him forward, left Charmer sort of stuck in one of those off lanes, and then have your team moving throughout the map and claiming objectives left and right. Speaking of objectives, Dragon is going to be up in the next minute and 40 seconds. It is going to be another Cloud Drake, so nothing that's going to be highly contested. But for now, Charmer 2-1 against Sanctus's 1-2 Syndra. Has been looking bleak for Sanctus, but with that rebuttal in the top lane and now with these rotations from the bot to the top side, there might be some more movement around Charmer, which means possibly more death. White Shadow seeing if he can find something, but Panzer's there with him. Winter seeing if he can get him to blast him into his team. He does. Charmer going to be going down to White Shadow. White Shadow picking up the kill for himself will help scale into the late game. Only has the F-Sword, Pickaxe, and a Zeal, so he has the recipes for destruction, but does not have the full cookbook yet.
And that's what I was talking about, where if you're able to get onto Vel'Koz, there's nothing he can do about it. And we saw that. Like, Perpetual Winter did such a good job of just He literally just body slammed onto him, threw her cast down, and then used his ult. And there's nothing Charmer can do, right? Without his flash, he's stuck. He can't do anything. J4 couldn't peel for him. There's nothing left. And so I think that's...
Yeah, it's something that with the cleanse, we mentioned this too. Like, sure, he has the cleanse to negate one version of crowd control, but Gragas has like 2 versions of crowd control. Given maybe probably he has 3 pretty much. So it's something that they'll have to have an answer for that in a sense of Charmer trying to create a sort of sense of zoning. Speaking of zoning, White Shadow getting zoned out from this creep wave here in the top side. 15 seconds till Dragon. See if any of the teams will be looking for that Cloud Drake to help with the roaming potential. This is another thing that I've been interested about too, with the Janna sort of I wouldn't say rework on her Zephyr and her passive, but like she's not picking up boots early on anymore. She just like relies 100% on her passive and Zephyr to just have her roaming around the map.
Yeah, and I mean that was one of the things that made her really strong, and that was a couple of the items that they actually had to hotfix. And it does look like there might be a collision course here in the mid lane though.
Yeah, Rift Herald here, going to see how hard he can batter down this mid turret. Does do a heaping amount of damage, as the Rift Herald always does. Red turret will go down, so Rift Herald for a turret still good, but a fight here. Platypus trying to go on to Andrew. Panzer taking a load of damage, going to be going down to Sanctus, but Winter is going to fall to Charmer as well. Mid lanes both have a kill for themselves on their belt. As Disengage trying to happen. Supermodel flashing in, seeing if he can find Platypus. Platypus extremely low, but nice. Scatter the Weak from Sanctus will disengage the fight. Supermodel did not get Mega Gnar in there, so he was not able to turn it around with his ultimate. And unfortunately, 1-for-1 trade for both of the teams. As a turret does fall, I'd say I'd give it in favor of Columbia College because they could be picking up this Cloud Drake as well. 2 objectives for 1 kill. Pretty good trade-off.
Yeah, I think that's a big win for Columbia College. They're getting down that second tier turret actually relieves them of some of that pressure that we see around the Baron pit. Not quite as much if they got in the first tier turret in the top lane, but it does give them a little bit more vision and predictability about where Indiana Tech might be trying to come from if they do choose to aggress on this Baron in the next 50 seconds or so.
Yeah, Black Cleaver was picked up for Supermodel for the armor shred. And armor is just being built up on the side of Indiana Tech. You have the Ninja Tabby on Winter, and then you have a cloth armor for Platypus. So not too much armor to shred just yet, but it is percentage, so it'll always help out in any way it possibly can. Speaking of items, Runon's Hurricane is the first item for White Shadow, as Essence Reaver is for Andrew.
And that's
yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Nope, go for it, man. I
was going to say, and that's actually, I really like that pick coming up from Twitch, prioritizing that Runins over trying to go for something like like an Infinity Edge early on. He does have 2 of the 3 pieces that he needs to finish off that Infinity Edge. He actually has the most expensive pieces, but I actually really like the Runins pickup instead because they have so much CC, and White Shadow has been so protected during these fights. He's been able to shoot his gun the entire fights without any worry of being caught. And so I think having that Runin just gives him so much more freedom to deal tons of damage to the entire team instead of just like really peppering a single target.
Thing is the gold lead is still in favor here for the side of Columbia College. You have 1,000 gold difference between the 80 carries themselves, which is pretty much the Berserker Greaves, and then that additional, Zeal on Andrew. So he's still sort of outscaling in the sense of itemization against White Shadow. But for me, I feel like Twitch is still that much more powerful late game hyper carry because he's able to pop out the ultimate, be able to just obliterate people from the backline, kind of like how Charmer is, but is able to shred down so much quicker.
Yeah, and we're looking at 2 different forms of preparation. Oh, hang on, big fight.
Panzer taking a load of damage. Unleash power, not going to be able to get him. Will the flash do? No, it will not. Nice!
Oh,
flash
wow.
There from Pyro, but White Shadow going to be able to reply in kind with his own flash, pick up the kill with a rat-a-tat-tat. So now White Shadow seeing what he can grab in this top lane with the rest of his team. Supermodel and Platypus are just deciding to go ahead and batter away at each other in the bottom lane. Sieging onto this top lane turret. Nice ultimate there from Charger. Just obliterating Sanctus, reminding him how laning phase went for him in kind. As White Shadow taking a brutish amount of damage as well, going to be having to back away. Mysterious also fairly low. Only Winter is really healthy, but that ultimate on the corner changes the tide completely in this top side. Is now Turk going over to Columbia College.
Yeah, and that's kind of the pressure that we would expect to see off of a solid pick coming out of Vel'Koz. You lose a lot of your pressure for team fights when Syndra is not there, because she's not able to use those Scout of the Wakes, use that slow, and then the constant threat of having a delete button available is something that you have to be really cautious of when you look at the team comp that Columbia College is running with this Vel'Koz and the Xayah.
Yeah, liking Platypus's trades back and forth. He is still 30 CS up, does have that additional kill as well, but as you said, Supermodel is always going to be tanky at every stage in the game, and will always be able to wave clear efficiently with his kits, so it's going to be very hard for Platypus's Camille to really get a massive lead unless Supermodel sort of steps a little bit too far out of the comfort zone or for his boundary. With that 37,000 to 32, only objective up at the moment is pretty much the Baron in a sense of neutral objectives. Turrets right now 4-0 still, so playing a perfect objective game so far for Columbia College. Definitely good news for them, but how long can they hold this out?
I think a while, right? I mean, look at how healthy these tier 1 turrets are, right? It doesn't even look like Indiana Tech has been trying to put any damage down onto these turrets, only focusing on the kills, which I actually really like that method of play. It was one of the big reasons I really like the Chinese region for professional LCS.
Oh, yeah, it's super fun to watch. It's super fun.
That's right. They can't fight back if they're all dead, right? Like
exactly. That's when you take the objectives. You ace their team 5 times in a row, and then you can go take Baron. It's like, okay, sounds wonderful. But with that, too, even though the kills are in their favor, the gold is still not. They're actually slowly losing that lead because of the turrets. 38,500 gold to 34. So looking at where that gold is, it's pretty much on to Charmer and on to Andrew, but actually Supermodel taking a load of damage. He cannot hop out of this one. Platypus dealing a load of damage. Nice flash. Wheel
should get the kill.
Yeah, there you go. Good job. Good fight back and forth between Supermodel and Platypus, and that's the problem that I was saying. Even though pretty much that Platypus is able to get those fights and is in the lead, he's 8,000 gold to about, well, with that kill, it's sort of traded for Panzer. Going to be finding himself a perpetual Winter, and Winter has come and gone. Going to be falling to that one. That could be a possible Baron, though, for the side of Columbia College. No smite down for the side of Indiana Tech.
And this is really, really safe, too. Platypus is dead for the next 10 seconds on top of having to channel his teleport to try to get in on wards that aren't there yet. We do see Sanctus flanking around the side here, but I don't know how much he's going to be able to do with how healthy the damage dealers for Columbia are right now.
Yeah, they are not going to be able to contest it whatsoever as blue team Columbia College picking up the first Baron of this game at 24 minutes, doing a wonderful job of controlling neutral objectives so far, even though Cloud Drakes have pretty much littered the map so far, definitely showing us that the RNG is in favor of Infernal Drakes. Speaking of Infernal Drake, that is going to be up in the next 7 seconds here, so that is going to be that 8% damage bonus for either of these teams, and that is something that I feel like the team fighting capabilities of Indiana Tech would definitely need to help them get back into this game.
And if they don't get this is going to be a really huge loss. They should really try to fight here.
Yeah, they are going to fight. Supermodel getting caught out once again, stepping a little bit too far. Platypus punishing him for that hook shot going to land. That's so much damage coming out from the Q of Camille, but the rest of Columbia College is here. Winter going to be shredded apart by Charmer.
What a good rotation.
Supermodel going to be locking down that second kill for Charmer. Wonderful. That's the power of Cloud Drake right there, when the team can just show up at the other side of the map in no time.
I mean, look at how fast they are. Vel'Koz has 441 move speed. Xayah has 438. I mean, like, with this Janna and 2 Cloud Drakes, like, these guys are so fast. They're able to rotate. They're able to come to help of their teammates so quickly. Along with this Baron buff, there's so much pressure that they're going to be able to apply right now.
Yeah, so much pressure. And with a 5-man here in the bottom side, you have 2 seconds up for Winter. Winter is now spawned. Platypus is spawning in the next 7 seconds, but that will not help his team as Inhibitor will go down on the bottom side of the map. This feels like a perfect rotation for Columbia College. All right, perfect. We got the kills in the bottom lane. We got the turrets. We got the Inhibitor. Rotate now for Infernal Drake. But the problem is their front line is still not extremely healthy, but Winter going to be getting caught out here, as Charmer's just zoning out the back line of White Shadow. Winter not going down just yet. Will he fall? He will not. Another storm coming out from Andrew, going to recall, getting a burst onto Sanctus and onto Platypus. The damage dealers are down. White Shadow running for his life. Perpetual Winter seeing if he can get away as well, but the flash from Charmer is going to pick up a kill for him. White Shadow getting caught out from that ambush. going to have to flash away there as well as heal. Only the bottom lane of Indiana Tech is alive, and that will not be enough team members to survive against the siege of Columbia College. They're looking to possibly close out this game.
I mean, that would make a lot of sense. There was so much safety. That was such a bad call by Indiana Tech to try to challenge that without any of the vision. There was so much vision that Columbia College had and so much protection they had there that they could have been able to do that. And it does look like White Shadow's going to take a lot of damage. And this will be the game for Columbia College. 27 minutes.
Great game there from Columbia College as well. GG. You know, speaking of Columbia College there, you got the CC as the initials, and I'd say the game initials for this one would be CC, crowd control. Wonderful job there from Charmer and Supermodel. Supermodel did struggle in that early game, got a lot of attention from Winter early on, but Charmer doing such a great job, and then the sort of solid play from the bottom lane of Andrew and Inipro, being able to sort of slowly scale up, get their leads, get consistently ahead, and then Panzer was just there with great farm as well. Ended the game 119 CS to 96 against Winters, and being able to scale up. Went tanky Jarvan as well, went that Cinder Hulk, as well as the Locket of Iron Solari. So it was extremely hard to kill him. Only went 2 deaths and 7 assists. So overall, great job from Columbia College, and an unfortunate loss for the side of Indiana Tech.
See, the good news is for Indiana Tech, though, is that this was for first and second place. And so they are still in it. They are still moving on. They're not the first seed, but they are going to move on. And that's the bright spot, right? Like, these are the guys that took a game off of you in these kind of group stages, and you had a good fight, but your composition in your early game, I think decisions with that Gragas spending a lot of time in the top lane instead of trying to focus on shutting down Charmer on that Vel'Koz, but actually really affected the game and allowed CC that freedom to kind of get that mid-game spike that we were talking about.
And not to mention the previous game that they had in the best of 2 series, the game they lost to Columbia College was with Charmer on Vel'Koz. So I believe it went 4-1-7 in that game. And even though they did have, I believe, like Platypus went on a top Kane pick, but it was something that wasn't influential at all. Is something that you have Charmer back on that pick that you lost against. And even though you do have a Syndra who is very dominant, it's something that the range of it is so short that there's no way for it to reply in a laning situation. And that was Charmer's sort of key to getting into this game, getting a lead, and granting a pretty solid advantage for his team going into that mid game.
And that's another thing is looking at that mid lane. Like, Syndra as a champion likes to push up and apply a lot of pressure, and then being able to roam to this bot or top to be able to use her ult and scatter the weak. But she wasn't able to do that because Vel'Koz rivals her just as much in terms of wave clear, right? He throws out one Void Rift, and all of a sudden he's got the entire wave is like at a quarter of their health. Syndra can't go anywhere. She's glued to this mid lane to try to keep Vel'Koz from pushing up on the turret. And it kind of reached the standstill, and Panzer pulled the trigger first, and they were just able to take down that first tier turret. And then from there, I just didn't feel like Sanctus had a lot of impact on the game, aside from that one team fight in the top lane where she was able to zone out Charmer.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Platypus, even though he was able to get a convincing lead against the side of Supermodel, it's just the determining factor was that Charmer was able to convert his lead into other lanes, into the mid game, and Platypus was unable to do that and was consistently answered by Supermodel's split push and be able to clear those waves back just as quickly as they were lost. So for that one, I'd say, what do you say, Starkey, for this one? MVP of the game. I feel that we're going to be on the same sort of podium for this guy. Yeah,
I definitely will say that Charmer is definitely the MVP of this game. Even during that last team fight at Indiana Tech's blue buff, he zoned the entire team with one ultimate. I mean, that's like the kind of impact that you want to have. It just forced, after Perpetual Winter got caught out, he shot that ult down and nobody wanted to run into it. Karma's too squishy, Twitch is too squishy, right? Camille wasn't close enough. She had to use her hook to get out of the fight. Like, it was so strong, and Charmer was so convincing on that Vel'Koz that he's definitely my MVP.
And even with that fight, that it took a while for them to take down Perpetual Winter, that very last fight, it was just, again, as you said, Vel'Koz with the Disintegration Ray just zoning out the entire team. It dropped White Shadows to like half health, and it was not even procced with the 3-proc passive that he has for the true damage. It was just wiping him out completely. And it was, again, I agree with you, splendid job for Charmer picking up the MVP for this one. But for now, I believe we are actually going to be going ahead and taking a little break here for tonight. So don't go anywhere, guys. More League of Legends action should be around, I believe, for you, as the AVGL Collegiate League of Legends Championship will continue here. Stay tuned. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for some more League of Legends action here on the AVGL Collegiate Championships. I'm Kogo the Dragon once again. Joining me tonight is Starkey. And Starkey, we are into our second tiebreaker of the night. It is going to be Georgia Tech versus Ole Miss Mississauga. Hopefully I got that on the dot there, or Magnolius, actually, excuse me. I completely messed it up, completely off. Bronze trash, already lost the game. We're done. Anyways, going into the second one we have on the blue side, it's Georgia Tech. Red side is Ole Miss. So already we see level 1 invades for us. Is this an expected strategy for them? Because for me, Georgia Tech, you're pretty strong, but not something that you usually see too often trying to avoid these wards.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is we actually just saw, I do think Georgia Tech did get spotted out by that ward. If not, it looks like Sam might be in a bad position here.
Sam L is caught between a rock and a bristles. Has to flash away. Juke's trying to see if he can pick up the kill for himself. Cleanse was actually on Sam L, so no heal. Means Juke, this is going to take first blood, but ICT getting the flash in, getting a nice Q for a kill as well. So this first level 1 game is already a mess, as 2 kills already, and it hasn't even been 2 minutes yet. But I think that's just going to be all that was sowed for this level 1 cheese. No one was spotted out in that level 1 invade. Perfectly gives them a summonerless Twitch to fight against in that bottom lane. However, you do have that first blood being given away to ICT on the backside. So going to be a hard matchup into the top lane. So actually both top laners picking up first blood and going in, getting an additional item. You got the longsword and the Dorn shield on the side of Jupsa, and for ICT you have the Dorns and the cloth armor. So already crazy start to a very close tiebreaker.
That actually was a pretty fun play. I didn't quite think that the vision, or I thought the vision was going to be just enough to show off them rotating towards Sam there, that Twitch, but it was not enough, and they did get a very good start. The interesting thing is that there was more flashes burned for the side of Georgia Tech to try to get that first blood than there were flashes burned for the side of Ole Miss. Sorry, I forgot who it was for a second. And that actually is going to give them a pretty decent advantage, because there are some key flashes burned from the side of Georgia Tech.
Yeah, Georgia Tech, they had the 2 solo laners have their flash taken away. You had the exhaust on Doogie going down, as well as Sykes' flash too. So Dragon is the only one with a flash available for him, as well as Doogie. So already lanes are pretty dangerous, and ICT already in the eyes of death, as ICT getting knocked back there by Jupsa, seeing if he can possibly pick up another kill. There's going to be E from Dragon. And you're going to give it to Jupsa? Nope. Dragon's going to go ahead and secure that one for himself. You saw the kindness in his heart, but unfortunately, ICT tried to deny himself the charity. Suregiven here as well in the mid lane. He's actually not going to be looking for Purge just yet. Purge trying to trade it back and forth. Suregiven going to be popping around the corner saying, "Hello, Purge." Is going to see if he can possibly find a kill. There is the elastic. I think it's the elastic punch. I don't remember the full skills on that, but Purge nonetheless will forget that his flash was down, as Unmeister going to be falling to Dragon now too. A bloody early game here. Syke is going to be roaming up as well from Doogie. Syke going to be picking up the kill, roaming all the way up from bottom lane, as 4 kills to 2. 6 kills already on the map in 4 minutes. My gosh. Starkey, we have a game on our hands.
Yeah, that's okay. A lot of stuff is happening. Doogie Boy even getting really aggressive here.
Oh no, Syke going to be seeing if he can possibly pick up a kill on the worst Thresh Earth. He's going to be forcing out the heal, and no flash being used though, but Doogie going to be picking up a death for himself, as Sam L getting the kill in reply. Now both AD carries have a kill under their belts, as well as Dragon was not confident enough to go down into that bottom lane to see if he could find anything. And again, so many interesting fights going back and forth, and pretty much all the leads have been negated except for that first blood. First blood still going in favor for Jupsa in that top lane. Really the only difference in this game so far, so still pretty even across the board. ICT making sure that Starkey is not going to be able to talk whatsoever in this game, as Jupsa seeing if he can back away. Syke taking some damage as well, but not going to be able to fall to the expunge from Sam. So
just so much happening.
So much damage.
Oh my gosh.
So it's crazy because it's just like you're seeing setups from all around the map too. You can see Dragon coming in as well. Psych running fairly low on the health bar. Where's Thresh now flashing away as Dragon not going to be going with the chase. We can go ahead and fall back on that one. Starkey, I think you can talk now. I think we can speak.
I mean, I want to say that there's like some kind of like vision setup, or they like caught vision of him through a ganking path or something, but these guys just want blood. They are going for blood and they want it. These junglers are coming in for ganks. The bot lanes are rotating to get kills. I mean, it's like, so far it feels like it's just a lot of like gut check strategies coming out from these two teams, and they're trading back and forth because they're either predicting what the other team is going to do and are willing to sacrifice and lose something for that trade, or they're just getting really good with these guesses.
It is very possible for either of those assumptions for us, Starkey, as looking at the compositions, we weren't able to see the champ select for this one, but sure given, looking to see if he can find Jupes on the side here. IZT collapsing down. Will they be able to get something? No flash for Jupes. Actually, he does have flash up and available. Will he be able to run away? He will. So he's going to use the blast cone to create some more distance between him and the opponents of Ole Miss. Sam L just going to be farming up in this bottom side. Speaking of farm, it's actually been pretty even throughout the entire game, even with all the deaths that have been happening. Only difference is Purge on that rise in the mid lane has 47 CS to 35. Looking into this game, looking at the compositions, you can understand that all these teams are going to be looking, like both these teams are going to be looking for blood at every stage of the game because there's so much volatility coming out of every single lane.
Two hyper carries in the bot lane in the form of, you know, that Tristana and the Twitch. You've got really strong mid laners. Sorry, I was looking at Yasuo as being the mid laner. Really strong mid laners if you count Yasuo as the mid laner with that Rise and the Yasuo. And then, you know, Swain and Jace are just so strong against one another as well. And Sam looks like he might take some damage here.
Yeah, Sam L just going to go ahead and back away from that one, using the ambush to make sure that no extra damage comes out from Sykes Tristana. As he's going to throw out the Venom cast, see if he can get some more harass onto that bewitching Yordle. Looking now into the map, vision control in favor of Ole Miss on that top side specifically. They have a good little trifecta of wards there running around through the river at the moment. Sure given, just hanging around at his red buff right now. Speaking of buffs, both of the red buffs for the junglers is back up now and ready. Part of me feels like they didn't even take him in the first place, but nonetheless, this game has been moving fairly quick for these teams as, again, 7 kills on the board right now. 1,000 gold advantage for the side of Georgia Tech, and ICT seeing if he can find something here. Jupsa going to be throwing back as much damage as he's been given. Going to be able to find a kill. He does not have flash, but he does have ranged mode as Jupsa going to be able to pick up a kill for himself. I feel like ICT sort of underestimated that damage potential.
That's not really a trade that you want if you're ICT.
No.
You did manage to get your ultimate off like by using a swift knockup, but Jace had enough health and enough mana to where he didn't need to use his shock blast shock gate combo and was just able to basically jump up in the air, slam you on the ground, and then shoot you a couple times. I mean, get you
with that down B.
Yeah, exactly. And Sam L keeps trying to go aggressive here, but I mean, Duchy Boy is doing such a good job of throwing down the CC and providing so much freedom for Psych to trade into these for free, basically, where Sam L just kind of has to back off at the beginning of every fight because Thresh, the Lulu Worst Thresh Earth has to burn that shield very, very early on, so they don't have any really trade back potential after that's gone.
And usually you don't see Nami in these competitive 5v5 scenes because Janna is so powerful currently in the meta that she just sort of gets outclassed by the Tempest of the Storm for the Janna. And with that, now I do like the Lulu pickup for Worst Thresh, and it does complement Sam L's Twitch very, very well. Clouddrake is the first dragon up as well for this game and tiebreaker between the teams. And still, as you said in that top lane, not a good trade for ICT. That will help the Jace on Jupsa to just do so much more later on into this mid game. It's already 10 minutes in. Dragon getting caught out by Shergiven. There's actually teleports coming in. Yeah, it's coming in from ICT. They're really looking for blood, as you said. Shergiven going to be going in, getting the Let's Bounce, but dying at the very end. There's the ultimate from Dragon, seeing if they can pick up more kills. Purge on the backside, just throwing magic into Yoon. Meister. Duji going to be falling as well. Dragon was not able to find a kill. Purge also having to flash away. Sam L was completely ignored in that fight, and that is the payment for the side of Georgia Tech, losing that trade. Is now Ole Miss going to be taking this Dragon. Great teleport there from ICT, and Unmeister now coming to the top lane with his teleport, denying the split push of Jupsa to move any further.
That's really big. Jupsa had enough time to teleport, but they chose not to, and they wanted to keep him in the top lane, and he's not going to be able to get out of this before he dies.
Nope.
So he is going to put a lot of pressure down onto that top lane turret, where once he's alive, he can teleport right back to it and take it for that first turret blood. But man, they lost a lot off of that by willingly keeping him in that top lane when he could have come into the fight.
Yeah, he could have come into the fight, and he's really one of the better convincing leads for the side of Georgia Tech, who's like, you're just one man, and Duji's just getting there. Sam L going to be getting hit up by the bubble, but Psych blowing up Worst Thresh from the damage of that explosive shot. He going ahead and forcing Sam L to retreat from that one. 2-0 on the Tristana, has 4,000 gold on the bank, 600 in his pocket. And speaking of which, Yamu's Ghostblade done for Jupsa Kid. Not a single item done for ICT just yet. Only has the Ninja Tabby currently.
Ooh,
of course. Caught out. And this is going to be looking bad for Sam L. He's going to be spotted, and he's going to be killed there by Psych going over on a killing spree. Dragon continuously tanking up on the turret. Given going to be falling as Dragon going to be able to walk out with just a sliver of health underneath with the bristle. And Sejuani, interesting name for a giant bear, Bristles, but nonetheless going to be getting away from that one. ICT might not be getting away from Jace, however. As a nice flash block, just dodging away from the tornado there from Yaswell. Ward into that bush, make sure that he cannot disengage from the aggro of the minions. As Jupsa doing a wonderful job in this top lane. 97 CS, and actually 100 CS to the 75, 4 kills to 2. Really ramping up on this Jace right now. Jupsa going to be the bright light of hope for Georgia Tech.
Man, that Jace flash makes me feel all kinds of ways, man.
It's so nice.
That was so good. Like, it was a perfect prediction to just really shut down that Yasuo attempt at trying to get an ultimate. Like, there's just nothing that ICT could do there. He was already in a bad place for the engage. He might have been able to salvage it with that ult, but Jupsa just outclassed him at every angle of that fight there and was able to really show why he is 4-2-1 in that lane right now.
Yeah, and really the only time that he did have that one death against Unmeister, who teleported up, and he was just getting a little bit too aggressive for that turret first brick. Does get it eventually. Just a minute pass and 23,000 gold to 20,000. That sort of fumble in that bottom side near the Dragon made the gold lead even between the teams, but now it's all Jupsa Kid from here on out. 6,000 gold to 2,000 here against his laning opponent, so he is a vast majority. He's pretty much 66% of Georgia Tech's lead right now. Looking at the rest of the gold leads, pretty much just spread out mostly onto Sykes Tristana at the moment, who is currently split pushing down in that bottom lane, seeing if he can pick up a second turret for his team.
That should be pretty free. That's going to be really big for them, being able to pick that up and actually set up some pressure there to kind of relieve some for the next Infernal Drake that will be up after once it respawns. It will be Infernal, and that's very big for your Ryze, your Jace, and your Tristana. You really, really want this if you're Georgia Tech to pick up that first Infernal.
And for both of these teams, they're running those triple threat compositions. Sure, Swain does take a little bit longer to sort of ramp up than, say, like a Ryze might. In my opinion, it does take a little bit longer for that. I'd say, like, once it hits 3 items for Swain, that's when he really turns online. But actually, a dive coming in from the side of Ole Miss, seeing if they can burst down that Ryze. Purge is going to be falling as Samuel, seeing if he can grab more. Not going to be getting anything. ICT having to flash away. Not going to be able to die from that shot, but an ultimate coming out, not going to be getting any lockdowns on that one. Worst Thresh is actually going to be dying from Jupsa. Jupsa seeing if he can grab some more. Given diving in onto the team, double kill for Jupsa. Given very, very low. So is Unmeister, but they're going to be picking up a kill on the Dragon. A quadra kill for Jupsa, as ICT is going to be shutting him down, putting himself online with that shutdown gold, but so much blood, so much trade back and forth, and there's only 2 words I can say to sum up that fight. Clown Fiesta.
Yeah, that is exactly what it was. And that fight actually turned around as best it could for Georgia Tech. They had no choice but to go that deep under the turret to try to turn it around. Once Jupsa Kid got there, I mean, like, but once he was there, it was just utter destruction. He laid waste and just chomped down on the, all of Ole Miss had like half a health bar except for Shergiven, who did a good job of surviving a long time because he was able to land that ultimate. But once he was out of that ult, like, he got shredded. Yoonmeister got shredded, right? Sam L could not survive at all. Worst Thresh on Earth. He was done. I mean, Jupsa did such a good job on that rotation and was able to salvage it, but here comes the Zac again.
Now with that one, Shergiven seeing if he can hold the team down with a teleport for you. ICT going to be coming in. More damage. Psyche, he's actually going to be falling down to Sam L. Dragon going to be picking him up in reply. Yoonmeister seeing if he can peel and make sure that Dragon will be falling in this fight. ICT taking a load of damage from Purge. This Dragon slowly decaying away from that DPS of Swain. Shergiven going to be doing what he can. Gets that knockup for ICT to pick up a kill onto Jupsa. But with the passive of Zac, he is on a timer. Will he be able to get away? Double kill going to be going over. Shergiven will fall to that one. Make that a triple kill for Purge as he will be running to catch up to the lone man of Yoonmeister. He is extremely low compared to the Yoonmeister, but mana is in his favor. No mana there for Yoon on that Swain as Doogie Boy and Purge will be bouncing him back and forth, seeing if they can find a kill. But that is a tanky Swain. 5 stacks on Rod of Ages already at 17 minutes. Infernal Drake is up. What will be happening for this Infernal Drake? It's an extremely good pickup for either of these teams with their triple threat compositions, but there's no way that I can see for...
Oh, Sam L is shredding them though.
Oh, Sam L going to be picking up a kill onto Purge the Innocent. I thought there was going to be no way for them to make in reply, but the double kill coming in from Sam L with the assistance from Drake will be turning it around. Dragon will have to turn away. Will he get the pickup? The pickup from Jupsa is actually going to be getting it with the enhanced Q. Is now, it was looking bleak for Georgia Tech, but Jupsa, the one, pretty much the one hope right now for the side of Georgia Tech on the blue side, picking up the Infernal Drake and keeping them in the lead, 33,000 to 30.
Ooh, lad, these games this is crazy.
This is so much different from the last game.
Now, the last game, there was a lot of action that happened towards that mid game, like we talked about. But this game is like from 2 minutes onward. Like, I'm not sure how you are like still not heavy breathing right now from all the talking that you've been doing for these fights.
I'm gonna need a cup of water after this one. I can feel my throat drying up real quick on it. But nonetheless, 18 kills to 15. You have what, 32 kills totally on the board right now? So
that's
it's just a kill a minute for Georgia Tech right now.
It's a kill a minute just for Georgia Tech, but you're almost looking at 2 kills a minute with how long this game is going on, and 4 more kills if they can get one. It might happen.
Not gonna find it on the Dragon anytime soon. Knight's Vow and Cinderhulk for that Sejuani in the jungle. We're looking more at the tanks at the moment. Shergiven does have Cinderhulk, doesn't have the Knight's Vow just yet. Is a little bit behind on that one. Rift Herald is the next prize for Georgia Tech. I think Ole Miss can smell this one out, but I don't think they can do anything about it. Shergiven not really going to be trying to go for it. Where's Thresh, though, just taking so much damage. Going to be falling over to Jupsa. Shergiven seeing if he can peel for Yoonmeister. Yoonmeister taking too much damage. Jupsa is the hyper carry right now. Shergiven trying to bounce away, but here comes the ultimate to teleport him into an interesting position to get right behind Sam L. Obliterate him down, get double kill for Purge the Innocent. Wonderful setup there from the side of Georgia Tech as this bloodbath continues into the top lane. Going to be going for the second tier turret. Going to make it 4-1 here for Georgia Tech as Ole Miss continuously struggling to keep up with the slaughterhouse of Georgia Tech.
And that's the thing. Right now, the only major damage threat or consistent damage threat that they have coming out from the side of Ole Miss is going to be that Twitch. Sam L playing that Twitch. As we saw at that Dragon Pit fight, he was able to stealth, then use that spray and pay / rat-a-tat to really chomp down onto the side of Georgia Tech. But if he's not able to be in the fights from the beginning, Ole Miss is going to have a really hard time winning these. They absolutely cannot get caught out anymore, or else they're going to fall really far behind, because Georgia Tech has shown that once they get a couple of kills, they're going to take at least one tower and then maybe another objective that's available for them to take it.
And another thing to point out, Psyche did go Executioner's Calling, so that does deny Unmeister's heal on his ultimate a little bit more. It also will cause some issues for Worst Thresh Earth, who does have that heal on himself, does deny any sort of sense of positioning, and also it's just so good for zoning too, because it just sort of scares everyone away with the Grievous Wounds, doesn't really want to make you fight as often. 22 kills to 16, still have 42,035, 7,000 gold lead, I'd say. I'm not that great at math, but nonetheless, I think that is the difference at the moment. ICT, 4, 4, and 3, not doing too hot on the Yasuo, but he's just trying to keep up against Jupsa's Jace. Speaking of, really, it's pretty much a race against Sam L and Jupsa.
And, oh, hang on, it looks like there's going to be another fight.
No. Was going to have a conversation, but ICT's going to get caught out by Dragon, going to be bursted down by Jupsa. As Shergiven going to be moving Doogie Boy to Sam L, but Sam L is not going to be able to get anything. Actually, he does pick up Doogie. Sam L is able to flash over into the red buff pit, but Purge is able to find him. Triple kill for Jupsa. Make that, nope, just a triple kill. Double kill goes over to Purge. So with that now, Rise is online, and Machine Gun Rise is going to be running into this top lane for the inhibitor. A very quick game so far, 21 minutes, into this tiebreaker between Georgia Tech and Ole Miss, and the carries of Georgia Tech able to take down this inhibitor, with now the rest of Ole Miss going to be spawning up soon. Do we even think there's going to be a Baron happening, or are they just going to continuously fight around it and just keep getting these aces?
That's what I'm thinking, is that they are going to try to bait out this Baron, because Ole Miss knows that if they give that up, they are definitely going to lose, and so their only hope is going to be to try to catch Georgia Tech in a questionable position, and trying to maybe get at least a pick there to take him out, or to take somebody out. But without that, they're not going to be able to come back into this game, and we do see them fighting around that Baron like we talked about.
Yeah, going to be fighting around that at the moment, as Doogie Boy trying to see how much CC he can control. Shergiven is a tanky boy, as he will unfortunately fall. Jupsa Kid actually picks up Lulu on the backside there. Purge getting the kill onto Zach. So with that, now fighting around the Baron. Baron is in the area, as they're going to be hopping over the wall, going to be looking if they can find this for Psyche and Dragon. Jupsa still just zoning out the rest of Ole Miss from this Baron. Going to be go ahead and take that one away. From here on out, Ping's coming across the map, going to be looking for this mid lane inhibitor. See if they can pick that one up for themselves. 29 kills to 18. They pretty much have 11 kills over the counterparts of Ole Miss. And my goodness, such a massive bloodbath. There's no other words for it. Bloodbath, slaughter. It's like, it's not something that's, it's getting to that point where it is starting to be convincing for Georgia Tech, because they've continuously been getting these catches for the past 5 minutes. But for that, it's not been that difficult. Here now, Shergiven seeing if he can find something, does pick up Jupsa. There's the ultimate from ICT. Will he be able to pick up a kill? He does not. He gets the GA popped on from Jupsa. He has no summoners, so Jupsa actually is able to pick up Unmeister, and Psyche is going to be able to get Worst Thresh Earth's Lulu. Shergiven going to be getting thrown down here by Purge the Innocent. Sam L was actually dying there on the backside, as another full man wipe comes here. A 4-for-1 trade for Georgia Tech. 24 minutes is going to be the game end timer here. And as a matter of fact, Starkey, you're going to be play-by-play, because I'm going to need a break from this one. With that, the Georgia Tech going to be getting a convincing victory here for their tiebreaker, making them first place in their division. Unfortunate turn of events for the side of Ole Miss, but they put up a good fight, a very good fight for the first half of that game. Unfortunately, Georgia Tech, Jupsa. We're just saying, Jupsa MVP for that one. No, like, we're just gonna continue on to that.
I can't disagree with that. Nah, there's nothing more I can say. I mean, you basically you commentated the entire game, so you know the same stuff I do right here. Jupsa just dominated his lane so well. And if I was Ole Miss, I would really look back on this game and think that Yasuo pick is questionable.
I don't know if it would say questionable. It's something more of it was. It's something that you're going into Jace. I'd say it's a good pickup going into Jace, but sure, given never paid the attention that was needed into that lane. And with the first blood going over to Jace, who already is much stronger early game compared to Yasuo, because Yasuo needs that itemization, it just dug a deeper hole for Icy to get out of. And continuous attention from the side of Dragon helped dig that even deeper. And I think that was more the issue.
I agree, but at the same time, it just feels like the combo for Yasuo, like you said, he could never get going. So when he participated in fights until the very end, when we saw him get a really good 2-man ult set up by Forgiven, we just didn't see Yasuo have any impact, even with his ultimates. There wasn't any impact there, and maybe if Forgiven had paid more attention to him, then that wouldn't have happened. But I just feel like the Yasuo pick wasn't quite right because all you had to set it up was a Lulu ultimate or a Zac. Like any of Zac's abilities basically could set it up, but Forgiven was never around in the same locations that Yasuo was to try to make that happen. It just felt like Yasuo felt out of place in that team because he was either not with the team enough to use his ultimate, or there just wasn't any attention paid to him to help him get going so he could use his ultimate in those team fights.
And there was a lot of late game investment coming in from the side of Ole Miss. You had the Yasuo needed itemization. You needed Swain, who needed to ramp up, get some more items under his belt as well. And then Twitch also on to Sam L, who needed that sort of late game farming because he'll stay even with Tristana for the most part. He did get ahead, but nonetheless, it was the utter consistent aggression from Dragon to go ahead and pick up that one. But we're going to go ahead, take a little bit of a break for now, rest my vocal cords for just a slight bit. We're going to have one more tiebreaker for you guys tonight, so don't go anywhere. The AVGL Collegiate League of Legends Championships. We'll be right back. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to our final tiebreaker of the night here on AVGL. I'm Coco the Dragon, and with me again is Starkey here to help me color and paint down this beautiful picture of League of Legends for us. On the platter for tonight, our final game is UT Austin Orange versus VCU Swiffers, our final tiebreaker once again. And for me, Starkey, this is going to be a pretty close one. The jungler's different for UT Austin. The mid laner has been a different player as well for VCU Swiffers. But nonetheless, I think we're going to have a good game on our hands.
Yeah, it is going to be great. We already see an early scuffle there. Requiem, actually, he picked up the... This is actually really interesting. I haven't seen this very often. Sorry, I know we kind of jumped right away from the quick intro into the game, but we do see Caitlyn. She does have the shield. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the name of the shield right now.
Dorn Shield or the Relic Shield?
Relic Shield. She does have that Relic Shield to really help Bard speed into that Ardent Sensor. And we talked about that in the last game of what items will the ADCs pick to help speed their supports into an Ardent Sensor, and it does look like Caitlyn's really prioritizing that. And I think that's actually really beneficial for her because with the changes she got in 719, her early game is much more vulnerable, but she can become such a mid to late game demon. They brought that back. And so I think that getting that early Ardent Sensor onto Bard is going to be such a big help to kind of help her through some of the more difficult parts of the game.
And with that also, with the rushing the Ardent Sensor, it is a debate that Relic Shield is stronger than the Doran Shield starting out because it gives you 3 health potions as well. So it gives you so much more sustain early on with those additional health pots. And 50 Shades of Kappa here on Bard going to be trying to zone out, hopefully I get this one, Biaroga on that Xayah in this bot lane here just to deny some CS a little bit. Keep her zoned out, have to walk the long way around. Eckhart here in this top lane, seeing what he can do against the Renekton. Railgun really on that early game aggression for this top lane.
And that's what you want to do if you do have that Renekton in the top. He is such an early game bully, being able to use his Q to do so much damage. Very similar to what this Vel'Koz is doing to Vlad in the mid lane. Vlad is so vulnerable in the early game, very similar to Camille. You really want to put down as much abuse as possible so you can try to basically make them feel bad about picking that champion, at least for the first 12 minutes or so of the game.
Yeah, and with that, we did see some sort of early game invasion from Railgun on that top side, just checking in on the red buff of Izoru Sejuani, seeing where he's at, trying to see if he can help out Urk's Jarvan to track the opponent jungler on that top side. Looking at the CS, pretty even throughout at the moment. Going into this mid lane, Loopster's Vel'Koz against the Quanzilla's Vladimir. Do you think this is a little bit of a stronger matchup for Quanzilla? Or actually, I'll have to hold that question, hold that thought. Eckhart going to be going engaged on. Not going to be killed just yet, but nonetheless, see possibly another ganky of Yorga taking a lot of damage, but Loopsters might be caught out here, does get stunned up, doesn't have cleanse this time, as first blood going over to Quanzilla. You know, I did have that question. Do you think Vladimir's better matchup into Vel'Koz? What's your answer there, Starkey?
I think Vel'Koz is better in the early game. We always talk about how long we always in the last game we talked about how long of a range mage he is and how he can zone you. Vladimir does have very short range spells, and so Vel'Koz is favored in a lane matchup there. But hang on, there's fights all over the map here real quick.
All over the map. Eckhart just going back and forth, but I think to help rebuttal with that is also just the sense of wave clear that Vladimir can also provide. Thing is also, the last Vel'Koz we did see did go cleanse. Izoru came in with the Sejuani gank, picking up that first blood for his mid laner. And with the kill on the board, this will definitely help out Vladimir's early stage. As you said, it is always hard to deal with that Vel'Koz in the mid lane. But now Loops are seeing if he can find Sejuani, see if he can get some vengeance. 50 Shades of Kappa not going to be able to get the binding, but the knockup from Urk is going to help and try and secure that one. Who's going to be getting the kill? Let's all see, and see that Urk is going to be picking up the first blood, getting a good lead into this jungle. 1-1 here on the board right now. Teleport coming in from Railgun into that top lane, as you can see on the minimap, seeing if he can constantly push up against Eckhart's Camille, try and shut him down as much as possible. Nonetheless, going back to their lanes and calming it down for a little bit. But Requiem taking some damage. Yorga. No, I sort of spoke too soon. Is Requiem taking a load of damage? He has summoners. He will be ready to try and force it out. Does force that one. 50 Shades of Kappa getting the binding. So now the Yorga going to be forced away. 34 to CS to 16, though. That's actually a pretty big red flag here in this bottom lane. Speaking of red flags, there's Jarvan's Demacian Standard picking up a second kill for himself 5 minutes into the game. Railgun going to be taking some damage back and forth. So, going in here now, a little bit of a lull at the moment for the action. Starkey, what are you thinking for the next moments?
The vision control coming out from the side. Oh, hang on.
Crusade. No, not going to be getting... Oh, flash coming out. Oh, the auto attack not going to be able to do enough. Red buff was not able to burn him down. Izaru getting the kill for himself, getting some redemption onto Urk. 2-2 on the board. But again, as you were saying, was it the warding you were mentioning?
Yeah, the warding in the bot lane is going to be really big. They do kind of want to pick up... Oh my gosh.
No loopsters. Going to be taking the kill. Quanzilla being another dominant mid laner on this one. I guess people just don't want us breaking down these fights anymore, Starkey. I'm sorry, is Izaru going to be taking another kill for himself onto Requiem, as respawn timers will let us do a little bit of theory crafting here. So with all this aggression, it's great, right? There's so much blood going around on the map. We get so much action to see. Consistent death. 6 kills, 6 minutes, almost going to be about 7, so not a kill a minute so far. Pretty darn close to it, though, as now Starkey going into the early to mid-game phase. How are we seeing the rest of these lanes sort of unfolding?
So I actually really like the way that Red Side is playing right now. They're doing such a good job being able to CS and get kills. The only person who's really falling behind in CS is this Xayah in the bot lane, but the good news is that she does have that the cold to kind of help give her a little bit of extra gold once she hits that spike. It helps if you're ahead, but if you're behind, there are worse things that you can have, and so I think that's going to help pull her back into this game a little bit. And the CS difference isn't awful, right? It's 9 CS, and the top lane actually eclipsed that with being 11. So I think... I mean, I really think that Red Side's doing a good job hanging into this and really, really fighting here.
Yeah, both of the teams are just doing as hard as they can. You have the kill lead in favor of VCU, but you have the CS lead in favor of UT Austin. Speaking of more kills, Izaru going to be getting caught out here in his jungle, going to be getting his red buff sort of zoned out. Lots of hot chocolate in that bottom lane. They're definitely ready for the fall season. I wonder if those are pumpkin spiced. But nonetheless, Railgun seeing if he can possibly get a kill onto Eckhart. Eckhart going to be getting away. The Q will not land from Loopsters, as he's going to be underneath the turret. Quanzilla getting a good kill in reply of that top lane 3-man dive. Here, 50 Shades of Kappa, seeing if he can get Cursey. Requiem trying to catch up what he can. Bjorga will have to disengage, block that ultimate from Requiem. Is from here on out, more death coming out. Just one death in that top lane from Loopsters, but that will help keep VCU in the lead for now.
That was really, really good play by Eckhart in the top lane. He was able to use his ultimate to actually dodge out the majority of the Vel'Koz combo. Like, that was such a smart play coming out from Eckhart, and they had such a big turnaround. That was a really good rotation by Izaru to come up, throw that ultimate, catch out Loopsters, and really shut him down. And we're starting to see why Vel'Koz is a little bit of a riskier pick if you're not able to stay safe with him. Like, he is falling behind. He is not finished an item where Vladimir has already finished his Hextech Proto Belt. So that's going to be very, very difficult for Vel'Koz to even try to remotely fight against Quanzilla right now until he does pick up that Morella Namicon.
Yeah, Railgun trying to dish out more damage. He is underneath a minion wave, so he will be taking some battering back and forth. 50 Shades of Kappa, you can see he's trying to see if he can find some sort of cheese against the bottom lane of Bjorga and Cursey. Quanzilla is still 3-0, and with that Proto Belt, as you mentioned, warding in this bottom side is in favor of VCU, I would say, as an actual gank might be coming through the lane here from Izaru. They are waiting for them to push it up just a little bit. The minion favor is in the side of Requiem and Kappa, but Eckhart's still taking some damage from Railgun.
We do see 2 rotations coming down from that mid lane, though. Eric is going to be caught out by Quanzilla, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get away here. They don't like.
Oh, that's so much damage. Izuru also going to be dishing out some hurt onto the side of Kappa. Loopster's interesting place to put an ultimate, but will fall for consequence. So now Kersey actually going to be getting that kill for himself as well. Traps are going to delay the push from the side of VCU, but they will continue to shove in, looking to see if they can get the first turret here for themselves. It's gonna be a very long time because they don't have any BF swords. It's just a long sword and a call on the side of the Yorga. This Quanzilla seeing if he can look for a dive. That's so much hurt from the Vladimir. He's gonna go ahead and pick that one up. No heal for the Caitlyn. Trailgun a slow and late TP, as well as the Monsoon coming in from Kersey will deny the engagement, but Quanzilla gonna get caught out by Eric. Eric going to be taking the kill for himself. Unfortunately, Loopster's teleport was not in time to secure himself any sense of shutdown advantages or catch-up whatsoever. Cloud Jake is available. They might be looking for that one. But nonetheless, UT Austin struggling to try and keep themselves in this game.
It's only going to get worse as the game progresses. They're not going to, like, right now, their key win condition in this game is if Renekton is able to get even a small lead over this Camille, or if Requiem is able to come back from what is a relatively slow start on this Caitlyn, just because right now they don't have any damage. All 3 of your kills are onto this Jarvan, who did pick up the Warrior enchantment, but that's not really what you want when your only other tank, Renekton, actually just has a Phage right now.
And with that, it's more of Railgun's Renekton is probably going to go for like that Black Cleaver, Titania, Hydra, get beefy before he gets really defensively tanky, and that's going to be an issue that they'll have to address later on. Railgun's taking some hurt here. Another thing is that Loopster is very, very far behind in the sense of gold and kills compared to his laning a partner of Quanzilla. Eckhart doing some damage onto Requiem here in the top lane. He's going to go ahead and trade it back with the ace in the hole, seeing if he can drop it down to about half health there. Is Eric going to be taking the red buff for himself? No one's going to be looking for that Cloud Drake at the moment. They're looking for that first brick on both of these sides. This Railgun is going to be swapping to the bottom side, sort of trading with the bottom lane of his team to see if they can zone out Eckhart, because he's not been getting anything successful in that top lane.
That's actually really bad for them too. This early game kind of got out of control. Hang on, 50 Shades of Kappa here might be able to get the stun down, and he does just whiff that a little bit. Oh my gosh!
Oh, Quanzilla! Getting another kill. He is just utterly dominating Loopster's Vel'Koz at the moment. All he is just an extra minion here. Is Railgun gonna get stunned up by Izuru. Does have the ultimate pop, so he does get that extra beef, but here comes Kersey on the backside, seeing if he can slow him down. Bjorga gonna be able to pick up the first kill for himself. Eckhart still taking a lot of damage. Requiem seeing if he can zone around, but that massive shield will help delay the output. Quanzilla going to be pulling away, not going to be getting hit up by the Tempered Fate. Leaves Requiem in an awkward spot, but oh, there is the ult from Eckhart. That denies you teleportation out of her zone. Quanzilla to see if he can get away from this one. He will do a lot of damage, but will Eric be able to pick up the kill? Eric will not, as red buff will not be strong enough to do anything. Does have first brick going down this bottom lane. 4 kills to 12. Still pretty much more kills than there are minutes in this game. Izuru going to be joining on to Loopsters. Loopster is just not having a fun time, as not going to be a fun Friday for the mid laner of UT Austin, as Railgun is just going to be trying to delay this push from the bottom lane and jungle trio, excuse me, of VCU Swiffers. Second turret falls in this bottom lane, and it is slowly, ever so slowly going down a slippery slope for UT Austin, and there might be no way that they can come back into this game. What do you think, Starkey?
I honestly don't think so. This early game, like, I say early game when I really mean like the first like 5 or 6 minutes of the game really got away from UT Austin. And VCU did such a good job of controlling that game, where Caitlyn's Relic Shield actually didn't have any impact, and then when they sent her to the top lane, it was just a wasted item. Like, it wasn't doing anything for her there because there was no one there for her to proc off of. So it's not giving her any real stats that she needs. It's not providing gold for anybody. So without somebody there to support the Caitlyn, this Relic Shield is not working out very well for them. And then aside from that, the VCU Swifters have done just such a good job with Izaru's Sejuani to be able to just kite down, and Quanzilla providing so much pressure that VCU has just kind of been able to do whatever they want.
Yeah, Quanzilla's Vladimir has just been going above and beyond right now for his team, as it looks like they're going to be looking for a Curse, not going to be able to land the binding, but Quanzilla just obliterating Bard like he's a balloon. Is Eric, that was an interesting interaction, but nonetheless is going to be able to drag himself away from the stun of Izaru. As now all 4 members of VCU are in this mid lane. They're letting Eckhart split push here in this naked bottom lane at the moment, helping him farm up. Is now Bjorga just trying to see if he can get any damage onto the turret. Nice Demacian standard to help buff up his AD carry to get some more clear onto the minions. As another ultimate coming in from Izaru, going to be securing the kill onto himself. It's Eric going to be getting the kill onto Curse, but here comes some kills for Loopsters. Loopsters able to get the shutdown onto Sejuani, but Quanzilla 9-1 right now. He's just utterly dominating on this Soul Stealer Vladimir. Gonna have to disengage from that one. Bjerga getting ignited. Here comes Eckhart from the backline. Will he be able to find something? He will be finding Shade's Bard, as he will be falling down for a third death, excuse me, of this game in this tiebreaker. 5,000 gold difference, and continuously, even though the difference isn't massive, the just item lead and the sort of level lead coming in from the side of VCU makes that 5,000 gold difference more like 8,000.
I mean, it just feels so painful. I understand that Jarvan wanted to do damage to try to help pick his team up with those 4 kills that he had, but it just feels so questionable to me, because you know that Caitlyn is eventually going to hit that hyper carry point. Vel'Koz, once he gets his 1 or 2 items, which he actually still hasn't been able to finish, he will start putting down some damage. The reality is you do need a front line to help these guys stay alive, or just to even peel away from these fights, because right now, once VCU engages onto UT Dallas, like there's nothing they can do about it. Jarvan just gets obliterated because he has no safety. Railgun doesn't have really any tank stats either, really going for that beef like you said, and actually here comes another team fight.
No, not going to be finding anything, because Eric is able to flag and drag out of danger for now. And if you think about it, if you just look at the game, there's so much damage on the side of Quanzilla. I was going to say triple the kills, but now it's over triple for that kill onto Quanzilla, as Izaru going to be getting caught out, but is able to flash away to safety. Nice Tempered Fate to help delay the siege of Quanzilla, but here comes the dunk. Loopsters is actually going to be able to pick up a kill onto Bjerga. Quanzilla not falling, going to get the shield from Janna to stay alive. Looks like Railgun seeing if he can find anything. Izaru is going to fall to Loopsters. Loopsters actually coming back into this game just a little bit. Does have Morella Nomicon. Railgun keeping on the chase. Will he be able to get away? Looks like that will be most likely a yes, as a hook shot from Eckhart will stop the advancement of the Renekton. 50 Shades coming to see if he can pick up anything, but Railgun does not have the health, does not have the tank to deal with Eckhart's Camille. He's going to get obliterated. Shut down there from Eckhart. Seeing if he can get a second. He will get a second. Will he get a triple? He will get the triple kill, and Eckhart putting in that Mastery 4. Doesn't get that S-Class, but nonetheless does get 3 kills for himself. Puts him in this game, puts him online and on the map here for the side of VCU Swiffers.
Right now, VCU has such a dominating lead. Just aside from, your very obvious threat of Quanzilla, now that Camille has that triple kill, and she has completed her, she did have the completed Triforce for those fights, and she is about to finish her Ninja Tabby probably on this next buy. I'm curious to see what she just has to pick up with that 1,600 gold she has sitting in her inventory. I mean, there's not... Oh, Requiem's probably...
No. He flashed away. He is lucky from that one. But nonetheless, it's just, as you said, with that triple kill over to Eckhart, it negates the lead that Railgun had got in that top lane. Like, sure, he didn't ever get a kill, but he had that CS lead and just that early game advantage of the Renekton stats of his kit. But with that triple kill, it's gone. It's completely out of the question now, as all lanes of VCU have come out on top. 20 minutes into this game, 8 kills to 23. It's almost quadruple the kills here for VCU. It's Curse and Quanzilla going to be looking for Requiem, but they're actually going to turn for Loopsters. Loopsters is going to fall to Izaru, as Eric will see if he can try and just zone out the team of VCU. VCU just going to be underneath the Monsoon to heal up underneath the turret. See if they can continue this siege into this mid lane. They've gotten so many kills, but they have not gotten this mid lane turret yet. It just shows you that their composition, they're built for fighting. They're built for fighting you in the jungle and the river, but underneath the turret, that's where they struggle just a little bit.
And the good news is that Xayah is about to come online. She did just finish her Essence Reaver. She does have Zerker's Greaves. That Cole has almost finished, and she's sitting on 1,200 gold. She should be able to, hopefully before her next back, pick up that BF sword, and then we'll really start to see some damage coming down onto these turrets coming out from the side of VCU.
Yeah, with that now rotating to the top lane, seeing if they can get a possible outer turret there. I'm just going to go ahead and claim the blue buffs for themselves. Is Izuru going to be a nice guy and give it to Kersey? He is. Or is that stolen? Who knows?
Probably stolen. It looked like he did the old switcheroo there.
Yeah, but Loopsters might have his soul stolen. Actually, not going to be enough damage just yet from Quanzilla. A surprising thing to say, as he's going to get a kill onto 50 Shades. Requiem is going to get a kill in reply onto Bjorga, but here comes the ultimate from Loopsters. Going to help try and zone away the rest of VCU. Railgun taking a load of damage there. Only has a Black Cleaver and Merc Treads under his belt right now for the rest of his team. You have... Let's see. So you have Eric. He does have that Warrior's enchantment. He has the Phage, and then he's going now, looks like, for a Locket of the Iron Solari. He's going to see if he can get Eckhart, see if Requiem can possibly pick up a kill. There's so many shields on that side with Kersey, as Requiem going to be falling to Eckhart. It is very difficult to fight a 5-in-1 Camille right now, as 26-9 here for the side of VCU Swiffers. Really, with the way that these fights are going, you could say they're close, mostly because not all 5 members of VCU are there at the same exact time. There's always someone that's sort of off on the side and isn't really fully in the fight and is just sort of doing their own thing. And that's kind of helping UT Austin in like these weird skirmishes, because it can help them just sort of like soften the blow. Right.
And that's the thing is, while that blow is softened, we do see Railgun. He actually has been kind of split pushing and CSing on his own. Shades of Kappa will live here just barely.
Pretty nice,
that's all. Yeah, that ult almost killed him. He dropped to about 100 health there. And this looks like it could be a tough Baron for UT to try to fight with how strong Kwanzaa is right now.
Yeah, Quanzilla, just his E literally drops Loopsters to half health. That's going to be a double kill for himself. Will Railgun be able to get Bjorga? He will be able to, as Izuru going to be trying to dish back and forth with the giant crocodile man. Eckhart going to be on Requiem's tail. Quanzilla just obliterating him from half health as well. Railgun will be able to get the 2v1, but that does leave him at 3/4 health with no ultimate available, which means Eckhart will be able to pick up a possible kill on this one. Hook shot will be up in the next second, but he will not need it, as the ultimate will secure the kill for him. Quanzilla was kind of tanking up Baron there for a little bit unnecessary for him, but nonetheless, 11 kills to 30 here, 10,000 gold lead for the side of VCU. And there is no question whatsoever where that gold is.
It's all sitting on Quanzilla there.
Yes, all 10,000 gold is on Quanzilla.
Yeah, it's just sitting on him, man. I mean, he's got 12,000 of their gold right now. That's 5,000 actually ahead of this mid laner.
Yeah, which is ridiculous too. Like, half of their lead is on Quanzilla, so it's pretty much not like terribly far off from the truth. So if the rest of the gold is pretty much spread out throughout the team. Let's see, you have 1,500 gold lead for Eckhart against Railgun. You have 1,000 gold lead for against Eric for Izuru, and then yeah, pretty much 1,000 for the rest of the team spread out. So yeah, 5,000 for Quanzilla, 5,000 spread out equally sort of between the rest of the team members of VCU. So going on later into this game, I feel like Dragon might be the next thing that they will be looking to contest. It is an Infernal Drake, so that's really what sort of is sniffing out a suspicion from my side. Outside of that, really nothing else to see at the moment, because it's just waiting for VCU to really just press the go button.
And that's not very hard for them to do, because we've seen Izaro. He's been so clean with those Sejuani ultimates, being able to throw out those glacial prisons so accurately and hitting key targets. He's really been catching out loopsters during these fights, and he just hasn't been able to really throw down that life form disintegration array to try to get that consistent damage across the board before Quanzilla gets on top of him and just absolutely deletes him. Like, that's the nice thing is Quanzilla can delete one person, then reset. Hang on, here comes a fight.
You were talking about the lockdown with the Glacial Prison Isru was able to get. He's not able to find Requiem in full, though. Forces everything out of him, but Isru will fall to Loopsters as Railgun will go ahead and die to Quanzilla, trying to peel for his backline as much as possible. Eric taking a lot of damage there from the Vladimir. He's actually not going to fall. Eckhart not wanting to deal with the turret there in the mid lane as he's going to get shut down. Very sloppy fight here coming in from the side of VCU. Will they be able to pick up anything on the backside? They will not. Apparently, they will not be able to get anything outside of Railgun.
Ooh, that was a
interesting
fight.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why VCU decided to pick that one. We do see Bjorga hiding, trying to get 50 Shades Kappa here, though.
Yeah, not going to be able to find anything just yet. Yeah, have to force a back off. Eric is here. Doesn't have ultimate ready. Cataclysm will not be there to lock him down. Barrier is forced out, though, from Bjorga. From here on out, this looks like an Infernal Drake for the side of UT Austin. This will help them get back into the game, because that last fight, as we saw, Starkey, it was sloppy. It was very, very sloppy from VCU.
Yeah, it didn't feel good, right? I mean, we've seen VCU be so dominant in these fights, and while Izaro did manage to catch out Requiem, if he wasn't able to kill him right away, he should have peeled off and had waited for his team to try to do something, because we saw the rest of the team jump onto Railgun and really just ignore Requiem. It just felt like a big miscommunication between what VCU wanted to do in that fight and what they had been doing throughout this game.
Quanzilla and Eckhart seeing if they can just claim the blue buff for themselves on this western side of the map. Requiem seeing if he can steal it away, actually gets stolen away by 50 Shades of Kappa's Bard. Nice little sneak there, throwing a penguin at it. Always helps secure it with that happy feet. Here on out, with that aggression going into the mid lane, VCU looking to see if they can find anything whatsoever. They don't want to fight around those turrets. We mentioned again that they're not a sieging composition. They don't really have the capability to dive anymore, because it's something that 50 Shades of Kappa can help peel for him with the Tempered Fate. You have Eric and Railgun who can sort of shove away some of the damage. Specifically, I'd say Eckhart and Bjorga. Quanzilla sort of has that freedom to roam around, but he's sort of like plateaued a little bit on damage right now. Even though he's 16-1, he's just getting to a point where he doesn't have enough to burst someone down in the middle of their team.
And he's actually, as the game gets longer, he's slowly losing that large lead he built up, right? Like, because the rest of UT Dallas is actually going to be able to catch up to him. Like, that's kind of like just like the way it works. If you get ahead, you don't stay ahead forever, because eventually at some point in League of Legends, everybody has an equal number of items. Yeah,
and it's usually, for me, it's when you see that the team has 70,000 gold altogether. That's pretty much at the point where you're at the late game. You are at the point where everyone's going to have pretty much 6 items outside of the support. Everyone's going to be running full level 18 strats, and be just looking for the biggest team fight, a big fumble, whatever they need to pretty much pick up a victory. We're not at that point yet, but Quanzilla is. Quanzilla's 6 items. He's rearing to go. He's got Void Staff. He's got Hextech Protobell. He has every single tool in his kit. He's level 15 though, so he just needs that level 16 to bump up his ultimate to that final 3rd upgrade and be able to do just that little bit more damage that will help him and his team out in the next couple of minutes. He's not far off from level 16 either.
And the big thing, though, is that this game is going to progressively get more painful for Quanzilla. We do see Caitlyn. She did pick up the Executioner's Calling, so he will have Grievous Wounds on him right away once he gets hit by Caitlyn that one time, as well as the Marilla Namicon coming out from Loopsters. So there's 2 ways that he can get those Grievous Wounds, and a lot of his survivability goes away with that. And so I'm curious to see if he decides to play it, not playing so far forward now that he has what I would say are more threats to his team fight, just because they have something to shut down his healing.
Yeah. So from here, seeing if they can get any sense of sieging whatsoever, but it's Loopster's Vel'Koz. Even though he did get shut down in the early stages of the game, 4-9 right now, 150 CS. He doesn't have Leandri's Torment and Morella Namicon ready to go. Some trading in from 50 Shades of Kappa going down to half health. But it's the Vel'Koz wave clear with that W. You mentioned it in the previous game. He's able to just do one W through a wave, and it's pretty much gone.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't take very much, like a Janet Tornado would deal with that. And we actually do see Eckhart split pushing in the bot lane, going into onto Railgun. The good news is that Eckhart can't quite dive Railgun and kill him without really risking himself dying. The issue is that they're having to send their main tank to deal with somebody who is a major damage dealer for VCU, but not the core damage dealer, because we are starting to see Xayah, she's doing more damage. Boryaga on that Xayah is going to do more damage. Quanzilla still does a lot of damage, and Loopster does get caught here.
Oh, unfortunately, Loopsters will fall to the hands of Boryaga Xayah, as Izuru will continue on the pain train. Eckhart being flanking in from the backside, going to see if he can find a kill on Requiem. There's so much peel for him, but unfortunately that will not be able to survive. Now Eric going to be falling as well to the Xayah. Railgun also going to be falling to the side of VCU, and it looked a little bit bleak for just a sliver of time for VCU, but they get a full man wipe for only one player on Eckhart, who took the brunt of that turret damage on the dive. Izuru got away with a sliver of health. And we see with that dive that the only reason they were able to survive that turret dive fight was because of their massive lead that they have. Nonetheless, this will give them the Baron, and this might be the final nail in the coffin for the side of VCU to solidify this game.
I mean, that's such a huge Baron pickup. I think the one negative to that is the one person in the one person that they have really split pushing with Eckhart. He did not get that Baron buff, so there's a lot of macro pressure that's lost by Eckhart not having that. But at the same time, 4 members means that they can actually send Quanzilla if they want to really go and do that split push himself, because we saw how much damage Eckhart could do, and he could really do a good job of peeling for the rest of the team, where Quanzilla, he could 1v1, I think, anybody on the side of UT Dallas right now and be just fine. So that way they would have that extra Baron pressure somewhere else on the map.
Eric just trying to see if he can get anything out of his jungle at the moment, but the side of VCU will not let him. Quanzilla going to be taking the big minion, big raptor out of that camp, just leaving one single chicken for Eric to chew up. Is for now continuously pushing into this mid lane. This might be the Baron buff that they really need to just crack open the shell of UT Austin. Can they find a possible pick? It's really, they've been finding the aggressions on just picking out a specific member of UT Austin's composition. Mostly has been Loopsters and Requiem. If they find one of those players, this pretty much spells death and a defeat for the side of UT. Now,
Loopsters is... I was just going to say, Loopsters is definitely the juicier target to catch here, because he has so much more team fight presence than Requiem does right now. Requiem does put down a lot of damage, but since he is the AD carry, it's single target damage, where Loopsters can just combo in with that Urk and use the Cataclysm to his favor to really, really shred down the side of VCU. So I think if you're VCU, you really, really want to prioritize trying to catch out that Vel'Koz over anyone else on the enemy team of UT Dallas.
Yeah, Eckhart trading back and forth. Railgun can actually kind of deal with him, but just as I said that, Railgun is going to possibly fall down here. Guardian's Angel is popped, as well as the Tempered Fate does not get Eckhart, though. Poor timing on the side of 50 Shades of Kappa. He's going to try and disengage, though, but that means 2 members are down here on the bottom side of the map. 3 to 4 here on the top side. Even though you have that cupcake sort of trench line there for Requiem, there can still be any sign of death. They're actually expiring right now. He has to put it right back up. This might be the window that they need. Here comes a trap in from the side of Kirsey, going down very, very low, but here comes the fight. Quanzilla seeing if he can find Loopster on the backside. Pops the Zanyas. Extremely low. Will he die? He will be shut down by Requiem. Very good fight, but Viorga will be finding 2 kills here. Railgun and 50 Shades of Kappa are down. Here comes the teleport from Eckhart. He's going to be full health, ready for a fight. Here he goes with the hook shot, seeing if he can peel away. He bought the Requiem from the side of UT Austin, but with the flash, he's going to pick up another double kill. That's an unofficial quadra for Biorga. It's now with the inhibitor going down as well. This might be the final nail in the coffin. Loopsters is the only man up for the next 20 seconds, as Isaru will be looking for a kill. Eckhart will be finding it for himself. And with that, I think it's going to be a GG here for VCU Swiffers. Another bloody battle here for this tiebreaker between the teams, but 41-15 and a massive gold lead. Ended with exactly 20,000 gold advantage for the side of VCU. Dominating fight.
Yeah, I was slightly worried there for a little bit just for VCU because they looked very indecisive about what they were trying to do. Their mid-game fights were very strong, but as it progressed past that 25-minute mark, we really saw VCU kind of start to stutter step, right? We saw them kind of deviate away from what made them really strong. Aside from just having Quanzilla on that massive lead, the rest of VCU just weren't able to communicate to kind of shore up some of these issues with Izaru using that Glacial Prison to catch on to Requiem, but then not finishing off the kill. Instead, the rest of the team peeling off to take care of Railgun and leaving Izaru there to die. I mean, it's one of those things where it'll help you get through this first stage of the tournament, but once you're past that, you have to be very, very decisive, and that's how you can really measure how good teams are, is how are they able to take these leads that they have, get more from it, and then continue to get more from it and force the opponent to play your game instead of slowing down and, you know, kind of pressing the brakes a little bit because you're not sure what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and we mentioned this earlier in the day too. We discussed how the mid-game sort of phase for a lot of the teams is pretty much that deciding factor of, as you said, proving if you're a strong team or not, because you get to that point where there's no turrets on the map. The enemy team has a good amount of wave clear to sort of negate your push. You don't have a composition to possibly siege, and you need to find and be a little bit more creative to sort of pick out leads to continuously keep yourself getting ahead. They're able to do that a little bit, being able to pick out Loopsters a lot, being able to get Requiem a lot, and that's where it does define that they are a very strong team for the sense of like being able to convert that early game lead into a more dominant victory in the later stage. Like it went to a 20,000 gold lead at the very end of that. So I'd say that you got to give them a round of applause for that, because that mid game can always be such a struggle for so many teams.
Yeah, and they did do a good job of moving through it, but I think they really need to look at that communication. That's really going to make or break them here as the tournament continues to move forward.
Yeah, and with that one, that was our last tiebreaker of the night. So GG to UT Austin and you. We do have to mention also, let's give out an MVP for that last game. What do you say, Starky? Who do you think gets the MVP for this one?
I actually really liked Zaru on that Sejuani, but Quanzilla was just so unstoppable on that Vladimir. I mean, there was so much that he did to carry them through that early to mid game where he was just so dominant. And then once that late game hit, there was a couple of hiccups, but he still did so much damage and was such a constant threat against UT Dallas that they always had to respect him no matter where he was. And that just made such a huge impact.
Yeah, and with that, I agree with you on that one. Quanzilla definitely the MVP with this one, and that honorable mention to Isaru. But hey, again, that was our last game of the night. GG to all the games that we have going on in the AVGL Collegiate League. I'm Coco the Dragon. I've been here with Starkey for you guys through the night casting. I definitely need a drink of water or something after those bloody games. But hey, We're not done yet. Don't go anywhere. At weekly aftermatch is coming up right after this. So stay tuned, guys. We still have content for you. But for me, you guys have a good night.